What's happening, everyone? JayShockblast here, and check it out. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is coming eventually. I have no idea when it's coming out, and I don't have any good news, any new news, any news of any kind, but it's coming in 2020, hopefully sooner than later. They haven't started any PR for it, though, and usually we start seeing little nuggets of information, at least starting about 4 months before release. What we're doing with this game is we are getting every single one of the 9 movies of the saga in the game with their own sections and levels and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense to hang tight and wait for episode 9 to finally be released. I would only imagine that it's difficult to get really good information about the game before it's actually, or the movie before it's in theaters. So I understand why they're waiting, and as we might have seen with a certain third movie never coming for The Hobbit, I don't think they wanted to release it minus a movie that they were going to supposedly add later. So I haven't been making much content about it because there's nothing to talk about. So I know a lot of people are looking for Lego content from me, and I thought, one of my favorite videos to make is talking about characters that I hope we get to play as in the new Lego game, and that is no different for Star Wars. And a lot of my choices are going to be some that were in the last video I made for The Force Awakens. So I like The Force Awakens. It's hard. They definitely had to basically make the entire movie a video game. But I really appreciate what they did. I love Lego Star Wars like everybody else, and I'm so excited for this one. And I'm kind of glad they didn't do one for each and every movie. Now, let's go ahead and get right into my top 10. Here is what I considered in making my list. I wanted characters that have never been in the game before. It would be really easy for me to make a video that says, oh, I want Boba Fett. Well, obviously he's going to be there. I tried to stay away from characters that are obviously going to be there from the movies. And I really focused on some characters that are probably not going to be in the game. And some that I think are pretty much a guarantee as DLC, but I still put it, and let's get right into it. At number 10, we have The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal's character. The Mandalorian looks like it's going to be phenomenal, and I would not be surprised at all if there is DLC based on the show from Disney+. I would love to see pretty much any of the characters make their way into DLC, into a character pack, whatever they want to do. But The Mandalorian specifically, obviously, I just mockingly said Boba Fett. This is a Boba Fett style character, so I would obviously love to see The Mandalorian. At number 9, we have Enfys Nest from Solo. I thought she was a really cool character, and I think she looks really cool, and I don't think we've seen her, obviously. So it would make a ton of sense. There's obviously Lego minifigs for her, and she has, she's in a couple of the sets, or maybe even just one with her speeder bike. But yeah, man, it's a great female character, and she looks awesome. And honestly, with Lego characters and minifigs, that's the best part. Do they look awesome? Yes, you should be in the video game. And I would love an entire Solo DLC, Kiara, different versions of Han that are not his typical standard, Harrison Ford version. So a Solo DLC would make a lot of sense, especially since they're focusing on the 3 trilogies in the main core of the game. And it would make sense even just to have them as loose characters that you can unlock. At number 8, I have Mara Jade, or aka Mara Jade Skywalker. I don't know if she is canon anymore. My best guess is that she's not, because Luke ain't married. Luke doesn't have kids in any of the recent movies. So my best guess is that we are not going to get, or that Mara Jade is not canon anymore. But she is such a classic character, and I don't think we've ever seen her as a minifig in any of the Star Wars games. The fact that I can't remember tells me it's probably not there. And even if she is there, I'd love to see her again. Mara Jade was an Empire, I don't know exactly what her role was off the top of my head, but eventually fell in love with and married Luke. They had a child, Ben Skywalker, and just a great, cool, Jedi. I think she had a purple lightsaber, if I remember correctly. Fire red hair, so I think she'd be great. I'd love to have her. At number 7 is a character I feel like is always on the list and never quite makes it. Quinlan Vos, one of the coolest Jedi out of all of them. He is the Jedi with a gun, so he's such a dope character. They've got books about him. I think he was one of the characters that was confirmed to have survived Order 66, and I'm really surprised we haven't seen him in a Lego game yet that I remember. I don't think he was in the Clone Wars 3, but he might have been, and I'm just mistaken. But either way, I want him. I want him bad. He should be in there. At number 6, we have K2SO from Rogue One. Honestly, one of the most fantastic characters in Star Wars, if we're thinking about it. I think K2SO was just amazing. I actually bought his Hot Toys figure because I just loved him. Alan Tudyk is great. Great voice actor. He did a great job in this as K2SO. And droids aren't necessarily always that interesting, but if they can loop in some of those lines that he used in the movie, I think it would be phenomenal. Rogue One is so underappreciated, and you'll understand that again in just a moment. At number 5, we have quite possibly the best droid in all of Star Wars, HK-47, You Meatbags. He is the most sarcastic, and he was K2SO before there was a K2SO. I don't know if they're going to go to KOTOR characters, but I would love a KOTOR DLC, even if it's just a character pack, because there's so many great characters from that game, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But at number 4, also from Rogue One, we have Jyn Erso. I loved Rogue One. Rogue One, to me, is one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. It's so different and dynamic, and Jyn Erso is a great character. I didn't use Cassian Andor because I do feel like, because he has his own TV show, there is a possibility that we could get that as DLC, and I just didn't want to have like a whole list that's, like 1/3 Rogue One characters, but I wouldn't mind him either. I wouldn't mind if they did a Rogue One DLC. I wouldn't mind if they just peppered in some Rogue One characters as like extra filler characters on the roster, however they want to do it. But Jyn Erso, to me, is the focal point of Rogue One, so I feel like she definitely deserves to have a spot in this game. At number 3, honestly, my top 3 are very predictable if you know anything about me and follow my love of Star Wars. Number 3 is Darth Bane, and if you have not read the Bane trilogy of books, I don't read many books, but they are phenomenal. You will fall in love with the character. Darth Bane is the Sith Lord that created the rule of 2. There's always a master and apprentice, one to crave the power and one to embody it. I know I didn't word it perfectly, but and Darth Bane is canon because he was in an episode of the Clone Wars, I believe, as like a flashback, as was my number 1 character. And because my number 1 character was there as like a Force ghost, my number 2 character should absolutely be canon. At number 2, we have Darth Malak, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. Just a phenomenal character from KOTOR. And I know I didn't want to have 1/3 of my list be just characters from Rogue One, and that's because I knew that 1/3 of my characters on this list are from Knights of the Old Republic, my favorite video game of all time. Darth Malak is just menacing. He's got the half jaw thing going, where he got his jaw cut off by his former master, and he is just an awesome looking character, one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. And that brings me to number 1. For the second game in a row, the character I want the most, a character that has his own Lego minifigure. That is right, my favorite Star Wars character ever, Darth Revan. Darth Revan and Darth Bane both appeared as kind of Force ghosts or from a Sith holocron, I believe, in a Clone Wars episode to Anakin, or maybe they were supposed to. I don't remember the exact episode. I know that we saw both of them maybe as a deleted scene. So they're canon as far as I'm concerned. So there is that possibility. There is a Lego minifigure for Darth Revan, and I just keep holding out hope that Darth Revan's going to be in there. Much like Darkhawk from the previous Lego Marvel games, Darth Revan is going to be that character you hear me beg for and beg for and beg for. At least give me the opportunity, like, make a mask that's kind of similar to his face, and I can just create him or something. He doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to create, but that's my top 10. I'm going to make another video maybe next week. That is my top 10 themes that I want for DLC. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, Rogue One, KOTOR, Mandalorian, stuff like that. There's lots of opportunities there. What do you guys think? What are some characters that you want to see in Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga? And I hope we get some news soon, man, because I need a new Lego game badly. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you.